little more. I think this is kind of a big story right now with Jonathan Taylor and the Colts. Where do you think this goes? Because this seems like, I don't know, there seems to be a lot of, distrust between Jonathan Taylor and, of course, Jim Irsay opening up his mouth. But where do you think this goes from now?
I mean, I kind of alluded to the dysfunction of that organization earlier when I talked about Jim Irsay and Anthony Richardson. The same story here. Jonathan Taylor, 2 years ago, was one of the best running backs in the league. Last year, he's hurt. The thought was this year he'll come back and be great again, because why wouldn't he? And it seems like maybe Jim Irsay is just setting himself up to not have to pay him when that contract comes up, and is doing whatever he can to avoid paying him in the future, which is crazy because you're losing an asset you have now that you have under control still for a couple of years because you're scared of what you might have to pay him further down the line. I don't know that that's for a fact why he's bad-mouthing him, but it doesn't make sense to badmouth your best player, especially if you're a team that wants to attract free agents and other players in the future who want to come play for you. This is how you treat your best player. How do you think a guy who's a young kid like Anthony Richardson looks at that? It makes no sense to me. I don't know how it plays out. I don't know what's actually going on behind closed doors. I can't tell you, but It's a terrible look for that organization, more than it is a bad look for Jonathan Taylor. I'll tell you that.
Well, the last few years, it seems like Jim Irsay has really made it harder for people to like him with just certain things he says, and he's crazy. And I understand it's his team, but he makes it worse for himself, I think. And this whole situation between Jonathan Taylor is just making it worse. And then, I love Orcas, but he went ahead and he's going to pay $20 million to put an Orca somewhere else and not pay his running back. It's just crazy how that works out. And then, on top of that, Jonathan Taylor had a great year 2 years ago. Then last year he gets hurt. And then on top of that, Jim Irsay says, "Oh, you're negotiating bad faith." I don't understand where he's going from, because it feels like he's negotiating bad faith. But is there anything else you want to add to the Jonathan Taylor situation?
The Dan Snyder left a vacancy in the NFL for terrible owners now that he's gone. And it seems like Jim Irsay is really eager to take his place. So that's all I'll say.
Well, he was one of the ones that wanted to get him out. He was the one that kind of brought it up first. And I think that's probably why Jim Irsay will keep the team for another 10, 15, 20 years, or as long as
for sure. He'll definitely keep the team, but he'll also keep the title of worst owner in the NFL.
Yeah.